Hi, I'm Jacob Turk. I'm not a career politician, and I don't claim to have all the answers. And after listening to folks around the 5th District for over 4 years, one thing I do know is if we keep sending Emanuel Cleaver back to Congress, we will keep getting the same results. Too much spending, too many people out of work, and none of the change we all needed. Join us on Facebook, on our website, and finally on November 2nd. Together, we can all believe again. I'm Jacob Turk. I approve this message.
Fifth, we welcome back to the program Jacob Turk. This was big news last week, Jacob. Congratulations, first of all, on some great polling.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me on. And it was great polling, and people need to remember that was taken just a little less than a month out, and now we're 2 weeks, and we're even closer today than we were then.
Has this elicited more support, I hope, in just the last few days since these numbers rolled? People like winners, or people like to pick horses that they think can win, and this certainly looks like you can now.
Oh, we certainly can. It's his numbers they're falling through the floor, and ours are on the rise. And people have come out and they've realized there is a real opportunity here for a historical moment here in the 5th District, and it's because of the folks that have been with us for the last 4.5 years with Donna and I, and out there and slugging it out in the trenches, and it's all paying off now with the change in the political climate, and people are coming out of the woodwork to help us, and that's what we need. We need to finish it off in these last 2 weeks. The lines have not crossed yet, in our opinion, but we need to make them cross right before November 2nd so that we have more than he does.
Craig emailed me. I'll leave his business and whatnot. He's a small business guy. He wrote, in the past few weeks, the owners and managers of over 25 companies have spontaneously thrown their support behind Mr. Turk. When you include our employees and families we represent, over 1,600 5th Congressional District voters who understand Emanuel Cleaver's bad for business. Most of us have never donated to political candidates, yet we've raised in excess of $25,000 in the past 3 weeks to support Mr. Turk. We're not part of the Turk campaign. We are simply business owners that know we will continue to lose jobs if congressional representatives like Mr. Cleaver are not removed from office. So the real story here, he says, is that business owners have chosen to support Jacob Turk. Our grassroots momentum is growing quickly, and I believe most of the media is missing that story. How about that? Is anyone even talking about this yet? And incidentally, look, some criticism was leveled at you that perhaps you didn't crow loudly enough early enough about your own polling. What do you say?
Well, what I think is that there are those who are of the heart, like you, Chris, that are true conservatives that want to see us really succeed, and then there are others that apparently not. So that's my comment about that. We do everything we can every day to win this campaign, and of course those outside the ring can always criticize the man inside the ring. But just know that we're a grassroots campaign, and we are out there slugging it out every single day. You've known us for a few years now, and you know how hard Donna and I work, and we don't claim to do everything perfectly, but we do claim to go out there and get it done.
The thing, and people ask me about you a lot. They say, what is it that Jacob has to do? I said, he's doing everything right. There is no one, I say it every time I'm asked, I say it even when I'm not asked, there is no one that works harder to campaign than you do. And I mean that. Based on all the folks I've met at state level and federal level, you and Donna slug it out and pound the pavement. But there is a learning curve, particularly when you're slugging at it alone. When you don't have party apparatus support behind you, you have to take that learning curve stuff on yourself. And that you have gained this kind of traction in 3 election cycles with literally no apparatus assistance is astounding.
It is. It's a remarkable story, and if we had a D behind our name instead of an R, you can bet the Kansas City Star would be running profiles on us every month about, wow, look at this guy. He's come from the folks, and he doesn't have a political background, and he's one of us, small business owner, mechanical engineer, just somebody who's willing to go out and talk to people and listen to them. This is actually just an incredible historical moment, and it is an incredible story. And sometimes I sit back and I go, this is America. This is what America is really about. It's about people standing up to take their government back from those who have stopped listening to us, including my opponent, Congressman Cleaver. He turned his back, and that's why we can win. Frankly, that's why we can win. We are hardworking. We go out and we expand our circle every day. But he has also turned his back on the voters of the 5th District for over a year and a half. When they said no, he said, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm smarter than you. And people realize that type of arrogance has to go.
Let me get Clint in here from Belton, part of your district, Jacob. Clint, good morning.
Yes.
You're on with Jacob Turk. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Jacob, I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
Why do you think it is that Congressman Cleaver won't debate you?
That's a pretty easy one to answer. It's hard to defend his voting record. He should be willing to step up with somebody who's never had debate experience. But he also knows from his folks hearing me speak that I believe what I believe, and I'm willing to defend that. And he would have to defend a voting record that nobody could defend. Taking our money and giving it to his cronies, nobody can defend that.
You know, you and Hartzler there in the 4th are similar in that both Cleaver and Skelton are these establishment Dems that think they don't even have to acknowledge your existence, and I suspect that very soon they're going to have to acknowledge it when they're packing their offices. But this is symptomatic, frankly, of a media, I think, that doesn't demand to have the two of you side by side in a room to hear you out. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't, particularly now with this evidence. And I have checked and rechecked with everyone I know about this particular poll that just came out, and there is no one, and I mean no one on either side, that denounces or denies the authenticity of you being within single digits of the guy. There is no reason at this point now that the two of you shouldn't be on full display side by side, and the press in town, true quote-unquote journalists, should demand a side-by-side comparison.
They should, and that's what your listeners have to ask themselves. I've put myself out there. I've issued the challenge to Congressman Cleaver. I would love to have Chris Stigall on the panel for sure, and then he can have any two guys he wants, and I feel good about that. But they don't demand, in this town, they don't demand of the political elite that they stand up and defend their votes to the folks. They don't do it, and that's a question for your listeners on why they don't do it. But I am willing to take them on in the debates anytime, anywhere.
2 weeks. What's the strategy with this kind of time left to go? I mean, people have asked me, can he get TV? Would TV help? I mean, what do you guys have a particular strategy, or is it just going to continue to do what you do, pound the pavement?
Well, we've actually had a strategy all along, and it's working. And we have been blessed this time around. People have stepped up. We've always wanted to do TV and radio, so don't forget about radio. Radio is very important, Chris.
Sure. Thank you. By the way, appreciate that commerce coming in.
So we are actually in the midst of a media buy now. People have given us enough money, and that's what it takes. When people say, "Well, why aren't you on TV and radio?" It's because you've got to make contributions, and then we will go up there. We have a commercial ready. It should be out in the next day or two. As soon as the media buy is done, we're going to do some radio advertising, and we will stay up as long as people continue to contribute to the campaign and allow us to do so. And let us make our case to all the folks of the 5th District.
Let me get Jennifer in here from the Northeast. Jennifer, you're on with Jacob Turk. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hi, Jacob.
Good morning.
I was just thinking about a lot of the grassroots campaigns across the country, especially when they start making a lot of waves like you have started getting notice from the Tea Parties and notice from, in particular, Sarah Palin. And I was just wondering if you'd had any discussions with her, or if there'd been any discussions of endorsements from her or anything like that.
Or any Tea Party organization in general. Jennifer, thank you. What about that, Jacob?
Well, Political Chips is one of the Tea Party organizers here, and they're big fans of us, and I've spoken at Tea Parties. One thing that people don't know is because we've been doing this so long, and Don and I are friendly people. We talk to everybody. We've talked to so many conservative leaders and so many leaders in the Republican Party that people would be very surprised, I think. And as far as Sarah Palin, we actually haven't talked to her directly, but we do know people that know her personally. Have talked to us. I've talked to her about us, and I think that's why she read the back of my card at the Vitae. She hasn't come out and officially endorsed us, but people also have to remember that, is it the best thing in the world? We wouldn't turn it down, but this is a 64% Democratic district. And to win, we need all our Republicans to go to the polls and vote, and we also need independents and soft Democrats to get behind us and realize that I'm a voice for all the people. I'm a conservative, but I also listen. So I'm not going to compromise my values, but at least I'm going to listen and respect you.
We'll do one more and then roll on for now, Jacob. Barbara in Lee Summit. Hi, Barbara.
Hi. I am so thrilled that you are running for Congress. I've shaken your hand at a couple of things, and I really think you're a smart person that realizes what's happening to this country. But I have a really big concern because I'm afraid of voter fraud. They have done so much, these people, to take this country and turn it into a Marxist nation that I'm scared. not because I don't think you can win, because I really think you can.
We can.
But what about voter fraud?
Yeah, you know, Barbara, thank you. Jack Cashel, as you know, has been doing a lot on this Royster-Rizzo deal in Jackson County. I mean, again, we're talking about a state race there, Jacob, but what about that? Does that concern you?
Voter fraud is, I really think the way the numbers are going, voter fraud is the only way we can lose. So what we're asking people to do is a couple of things. Call up Jackson County and Kansas City and Cass County and volunteer to be head election judge, because that's the way you can have to make sure that every legal voter votes once. That's what we want. And then beyond that, be a poll worker for us outside the polls, and just keep an eye on things, because you can call the election board if you see something happening that you don't think is right. There are groups across the nation that are trying to keep an eye out for voter fraud, and the reality is, with the way that we are gaining on Cleaver and will eventually pass him in the next week or so, voter fraud's about his only answer. So please help us in that effort by either being an election judge or being a poll worker for us outside the polls, just to keep an eye on things, and also to smile and say, hey, vote for my friend Jacob Turk.
TurkForCongress.com is the website.